Hello, Hashgraph community. Welcome back to Hashout. My name is Jim Gao. Recently, there have been many news coming out regarding Hashgraph. Big news. We all know about the date is set for open access on September 16th. And also, there are big names joining the governing council, including Tata Communications, FIS Global, IBM, and Boeing. So a lot of excitement, and you could see that in many of the chat channels. In Telegram, many new people are coming in, and people are very excited. A lot of people are speculating about the price. People are asking when Moon, when Lambo. The lingos from the crypto crowd. They are sipping through to the Hashgraph community. But I think a lot of the froth that's coming in recently, the new people coming in, I don't believe they are true believers of Hashgraph. Many of them, they're just from the crypto crowd. They don't really believe, they don't really know about the technology. And they're not true believers. They're really just speculators at best and opportunists at worst. And unless I think they change, they will not be in harmony with the ethos of Hashgraph. Hashgraph, I believe, from the beginning was never about Lambos and about moons, about these 1,000x returns. No, I believe the ideology of the founders, Dr. Lehman Beard and Mans Harman, they are set out to change the world. And I believe the company, the technology itself, has the potential to usher in the fourth industrial revolution, and has the potential to really change the world in the next 20 years as the internet did over the past 20. And the new people that are coming in, the speculators, it's hard to say whether they can be good or bad, for Hashgraph in the future. But I believe their ethos, their mentality is not what the project is all about. The project is to create real value to people, just like internet did. And to be honest, I don't really think the speculators, they understand what Hashgraph is really about. And I think that's probably one of the things that I want to talk about, especially the slogan that came out from Hedera accompanying their announcement of open access. And the slogan was, "We are ready. Are you?" And my take on that is, Hedera doesn't really want to know whether we are ready with our Lambo money, ready to jump in and speculate on the price of H bars. They don't care about, that too much. What Hedera wants the community as a whole to do is to make sure that we're ready with our dedication and our belief in their platform and our dedication in making the decentralized applications to run on top of Hashgraph network. Because when you think about Hashgraph itself, it's the infrastructure, it's the trust layer of the internet. By itself, it's very inert. It has no value almost. It's the same way as internet by itself almost has no value. What imbues internet value is the application that was built on top of it. The Googles, the Amazons, the WeChats, the PayPals that uses internet to change people's lives. And that's the value that's created on the internet. It's very similar to a highway system. If you build a highway system, by itself has no value if nobody uses it. What makes the highway valuable are the cars and trucks and the restaurants along the highway, gas stations, the infrastructure, and also the applications that's being built that utilizes this infrastructure. And same can be said with Hashgraph. Itself, it's the infrastructure. Like the telecom companies, they were building cell phone towers in the early 90s, mid 90s. But if people are not using the cell phones, if there are no cell phones being built, if there are no iPhones then those cell towers, they don't provide any utility, no value. And I believe that's what's going to influence the HBAR price over the long run. It's the decentralized applications being built on Hashgraph network. And those dApps, they have to provide true value to users, to average folks out there. And we need to have at least 1 to 2 killer dApps, killer decentralized applications to run a Hashgraph to make an impact. Yes, in the short run, because of the speculation, the hype, the mania, there's going to be huge spikes in price, I believe. People a few weeks back, they were speculating whether Hashgraph is going to go to the same route. The HBAR price will go to the same route as Algorand. There's another project that had academic background. It was this supposedly a new blockchain that was invented, championed at least by this Turing Award winner, I guess, something Macaulay from MIT. I mean, from me, like I heard about this project, Algorand, about 2 months ago. It was hyped everywhere, even in WeChat groups in China. There was huge hype. And in the beginning, I didn't make a video about it because I thought it was not worthy enough. It's just a hyped up project, most likely a scam, because a real project like Hashgraph, it never needs to advertise it itself. When you look at Hashgraph, it never created any hype. It's always, it's a project with true humility. It just stays in the background and doing real work, building the real infrastructure, making the highway system, making the trust layer of the internet as robust as possible. It doesn't really care about the hype. It's only the fake projects out there that needs to hype itself, that needs to do marketing. That's why I never really bought into the EOS crowd, the EOS crowd from 2 years ago. Yeah, like 18 months ago, because I just saw there was so much hype. So many people tried to pump this idea up even before the coin came out. That's what's made it such a sketchy project. And I never invested in EOS. I never even thought about investing in Algorand. So I don't think the value proposition from Hashgraph is similar to Algorand. It should be, in my opinion, it's going to be opposite with Algorand. Even though they're boasting about this this Turing Award winner. To me, that's just a gimmick. It's just using this academic's name to hype up their project. I don't think Hashgraph is in the same league, is in competition with Algorand. Just like I never thought Hashgraph was in competition with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies. I think Hashgraph is in a league of its own. It's a different paradigm. It's the next generation of internet, and it's going to have, in my opinion, it's going to have as much impact to society as internet did, in a ways that we cannot even imagine right now. Just same as if we turn back the clock 20 years, even the first entrepreneurs, in Hashgraph, in the internet space at that time, the Jack Ma's, the founders of Google, the Jeff Bezos, they never really imagined how internet would shape people's lives 20 years later. Yes, they had this vision, they had this inkling that this is the trend that the world is going to go to, and they took the risk of dedicating their career, towards this endeavor. But nobody could predict exactly how this technology would shape our everyday lives. And I think the same thing is happening now. There are many entrepreneurs that's going to jump, I believe, is going to jump into Hashgraph, especially with the HCS coming out. I think that's another half of the equation, because the Hashgraph algorithm is half of the equation. It provides the infrastructure, for us to, like the highway system, But HCS use the same highway analogy. It's like providing the other half of the infrastructure, providing the restaurants, the gas stations, the exits of the highway, the entrance ramps and exit ramps. So right now the system is complete. Now all it needs is, before HCS came out, I think it's almost like a Hashgraph is the highway with no other infrastructure, no exits ramps, no entrance ramps, no gas stations. So it's still, to me, not usable. Now with HCS, it's usable. It's ready for people to implement their dapps on this new platform. And that's why, the dapp that my team and we've been developing for the past two and a half months, we're gonna launch a very crude version, probably by OA in 2 weeks. But as soon as the SDK comes out for HCS, we're gonna switch 180 degrees. We're gonna pivot 180 degrees from the old paradigm, which was based on smart contract programming. I'm gonna change that into HCS, because I think eventually every dev, not only in the Hashgraph space, but also in Ethereum and other cryptocurrency space, they will adopt HCS. I think that's how big of a game changer HCS and Hashgraph is. But I'm gonna make another video down the road just specifically on HCS, especially after the SDK comes out. But right now, I think that's where the value proposition is, and that's what if you put yourself in the mind of the founders, the core people in Hashgraph, they already built the highway, they already built the system. It's up to us, the community, the devs, to build the dapps, to build the cars, that's the trucks that's going to be running, take advantage of the infrastructure. And that's why the slogan is, we are ready. Are we ready? Are we ready to take advantage of this revolution? To jump in, take a leap, and instead of just speculating on the price. I believe that if we just dedicate our time and effort into this endeavor, the price will take care of itself. And people were always wondering, how do you, if you look at the chats, many people were asking, when is it going to go onto exchange? And I think that's almost like a wrong question to ask, because there are many different ways to invest in Hashgraph, and buying HBARs is only one of its ways. Yes, it's probably the most direct way of investing in Hashgraph, but it's not even the best way of investing. I think the best way to invest in Hashgraph is to build a killer dapp on top of the platform. You don't even need a HBAR to do that. You can collect HBAR as your dapp is running. You can charge people a fee to use your dapp, a micropayment, and over the long run you can collect the HBARs. So, and that's, I think, the true value proposition is, and I think a lot of people, they're missing the big picture. They're really just focusing, they're hoping that HBARs is going to do 1,000x, 10,000x, like Bitcoin and Ethereum did, and I think that's the wrong mentality. Because Bitcoin, yes, I think Bitcoin is one of the most important inventions over the past 10 years, but it's just the first generation of DLT. Ethereum you can consider as the second generation of DLT. It's a different paradigm shift from Bitcoin, but still it's not usable. Now Hashgraph is the next evolution of DLTs, and with Hashgraph in combination of HCS, now it's something that's going to be, I think, is going to change the game completely. Ethereum has been out close to 5 years. You haven't seen any killer dapps on Ethereum platform or on any of the blockchain platforms. But with Hashgraph, I truly believe killer dapps is coming out. We will see the decentralized Twitter, decentralized Uber, decentralized exchange that's going to be built on Hashgraph. And in the next 10 to 20 years, these dapps, they will change people's lives. People's paradigm of how to communicate, how to trade, how to do business is going to be shifted because of Hashgraph. And I think that's the true value of Hashgraph lies, is the dapps. And it's really the cry from the Hedera team, to us developers, to the community. that the infrastructure is ready. They did their best job making the highway system as robust, as efficient as possible. Now it's just the car makers, it's the developers that needs to come up with killer dapps to take advantage of that and to make an impact to the world. And I think the dapps are coming. It's just we need people to change their short-term speculative mentality into this long-term, big picture investment mentality. It's the difference between speculation and investment, in my humble opinion. Because a lot of excitement this week came about because of the big news, of course. The big names, Boeing and IBM, and then don't get me wrong. Speculating about the price is fun, but at the end of the day, that's all it is, just speculation. I mean, the news came out at the same time. I mean, everybody hear about the news at the same time, but the people who believe the project, they believed even before these news come out. They don't get all excited only after the news come out. It's only the speculators, really the opportunists, they got really excited, after the news come out. And I don't think those opportunists, they're the ones going to build the dapps. They're just waiting for other dapps to come out so they can invest in H-bars and make a killing. But I think there are different ways of investing in H-bars, and the best way is to build dapps. So again, I want to echo what Hedera is saying to the community, is that Hedera Hashgraph is ready. Are we, as a community, are we ready? Are the dapps ready? Not just are we ready with our money to buy the H-bars, but are the dapps ready to take advantage of Hashgraph, to make an impact, to change the world? And I will see you on the next video.